These 3 hunters have gone above and beyond the impossible to achieve a mind-boggling triple star license. This fictional hunter content is sponsored by Squarespace, and more about them later. Triple star hunters are reserved for the rare few who have pursued the hunter profession to perfection, keeping in mind that even a 1-star license is already next to impossible to achieve, and 3 is a much bigger number than 1. The criteria states that 3 stars are given to a hunter who fulfills the first 6 articles and produces remarkable achievements in multiple fields. And just as a reminder, the first 6 articles of the hunter bylaws are: 1. Hunters must always be on the hunt for something. 2. Hunters must have a minimal understanding of martial arts. This includes learning Nen. 3. Once a hunter is licensed, that license cannot be revoked for any reason. However, a license will not be reissued for any reason. 4. Hunters shall not target other hunters unless they commit heinous crimes. 5. 1 star is given to a hunter who produces remarkable achievements in a particular field. And 6. 2 stars are given to a hunter who fulfills the first 5 articles, holds an official position, and has mentored a junior hunter who is awarded 1 star. This is not an easy task. Honestly, beating the Chimera Ants may be a more achievable mission. No hyperbole. But these 3 people have managed to do it. Starting with the 14th and current chairman of the Hunter Association, triple star disease hunter Cheeto Yorkshire. Within the Zodiac, she embodies the dog, the most loyal of all of the creatures, which makes sense because Cheeto was the figurehead of what was known as the Pro-Netero faction during the Hunter Association's political civil war. I say that because it means that Cheeto is a step closer to Isaac Netero's ideals than most, meaning that she in no way should be underestimated in terms of strength. Although her general impression amongst the Hunter Association is that she's not on the most powersome side of the Zodiac spectrum. In fact, during the chairman election, Pariston Hill made the argument that Cheeto wasn't powerful enough to lead the association, which is very clever because anyone expecting to uphold Netero's ideals would value that first and foremost. But Cheeto also gets heavily underestimated when it comes to intelligence. This is mostly due to the fact that her character is sandwiched by Pariston and Jing, arguably the 2 most intelligent humans we've ever seen in the series. But Cheeto is a force to be reckoned with, as the world of diseases have found out. And I don't think that it would be an exaggeration to state that Cheeto Yorkshire has probably impacted positively the world more so than any other hunter. Because a triple star needs to have achieved multiple breakthroughs, meaning that because of Cheeto, this world has probably seen at least 2 prominent diseases cured or entirely eradicated. However, before making it to triple stars, Cheeto needs to cross some T's and dot some I's and all of that. So double star hunters firstly need to hold an official position within the association. And this is the last time I'm going to mention that in this video because all 3 of our triple star hunters are Zodiac members. So they've more than cleared that criteria. But more importantly, Cheeto needs to have mentored a junior hunter into achieving their single star license. And I think that Cheeto's student is very easy to pick out. I would bet ever so many quantities of cash money that Cheeto mentored Sambika Norton because they're in approximately the same field. Cheeto is a disease hunter, whereas Sambika is a virus hunter. They are an absolute perfect match. There is no one better to mentor than Sambika, and no one more appropriate to mentor her than Cheeto. However, Cheeto does also have a new student at the moment, a certain Leorio Paradinite, who we're all very familiar with. And after his sudden election fame, the Zodiacs needed his backing to bolster the morale of hunters involved in the Dark Continent expedition, which he agreed to do under the condition that he could study under Cheeto. And with this, Leorio is on the fast track to success. He's already one of the most popular hunters in the association, and he's studying under who may be the finest medical mind on the planet. So provided he actually survives the Dark Continent expedition, this dude's gonna have a single star in no time. But who else has Cheeto'd their way into 3 stars? Well, the second known candidate for this level of license is the Dragon Zodiac Babay Gigante, who is a triple star terrorist hunter, meaning that he's very active on the front lines and in terms of combat, probably inherits the mantle of most powerful hunter alive after the death of Isaac Netero. Something I also want noted is that Babay is an absolutely colossal man, and in the world of Hunter x Hunter, that's very unusual. So I'm very used to the world of One Piece, where people can be any size from dwarf to giant. But when you see images of Babay in Hunter x Hunter, it's very clear that he is just built differently, and honestly, he might not even be 100% human. There could definitely be some magical beast within him, which wouldn't even be a first for the association, because they also employ beings, and we have no idea what the crap he is. And to reinforce this idea, Babay's name, Gigante, is taken directly actually from a type of monster in the Dragon Quest games, which author Yoshihiro Togashi is notoriously obsessed with. As for Botabay's achievements, I think those are fairly straightforward. He's likely played an integral role in matters of national security all around the world, and probably foiled some particularly nasty plots. What's more curious is who Botabay could have mentored. As far as starred hunters go, Bushido Ambitious would be a prime candidate because they have similar fields, but I think it still makes more sense for him to have been mentored by the double star hunter Terade Neutral, given their relationship, which make things slightly tricky because most of the other starred hunters are pretty obviously out of the question, but there is one other. It's very possible that Botabay was the mentor of Moral Makanasi, because their fields don't match up at all, but Moral is exceptional when it comes to military-style operations and tactics that would be incredibly prevalent in Botabay's field. In fact, I think it's one of the only ways to explain how a sea hunter was able to develop these skills. Moral and Botabay are both ideologically aligned as well, as part of the fiercely loyal to Netero faction, so I would think that there is a great chance that Moral is the product of Botabay's influence, which is really cool because Moral's now on his way to a well-deserved triple star license as well. But something we have yet to cover in these videos is the concept of starred hunters who don't necessarily deserve their accolade. And this is because every hunter we've examined in the 1 and 2 star categories are exemplary examples of humanity. They're all people who have a demonstrably strong moral compass and genuine desire to see humanity progress in some way, shape, or form. And you can progress in any way, shape, or form you'd like with the sponsor of today's video, Squarespace. And the way I personally wanted to progress was by opening a channel merch store. I thought it would be easy, and it was not. The internet is already complicated enough for an old man like me. Without adding all of the e-commerce on top of that, it just wasn't what I was built to do. And that's when, thankfully, I found Squarespace. Through Squarespace, you can sell anything through an exceptionally easy to set up online store, be it physical, digital, or service products. In my case, I sell physical shirts, and I promise you that we'll get some New World Review ones soon. But Squarespace offers an incredible amount of ready-to-go website templates that are customizable to your heart's content through the Fluid Engine, the next generation website design system to further unlock and cultivate your creativity. So you can and should check out Squarespace through my link in the description, because doing so will save you 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. And just genuinely thank you so much again to Squarespace. It's sponsors like Squarespace that make producing regular fictional hunter content possible. So please do check them out, but for now it's back to you, me. They're all people who have a demonstrably strong moral compass and genuine desire to see humanity progress in some way, shape, or form. With the exception of maybe Cutie Beauty because she's a bit sketchy, but not as sketchy as our third triple star hunter, Pariston Hill. So on paper, he makes perfect sense to be recognized as one of the greatest hunters to have ever lived. He was a Zodiac member, occupying the position of Rat. He was also vice chairman of the association, and for all of like 10 seconds, he actually was the 13th chairman of the association. So if all you're looking at is that CV, then Pariston is more worthy of 3 stars than any other character in the series. However, stars are not based on CVs, they're based on bylaws. And I would actually argue that Pariston has actively broken multiple bylaws, which in and of itself leads to the breaking of more bylaws down the road. Because in the star system, every new bylaw states that given to a hunter who has fulfilled the first X amount of bylaws. And if you haven't fulfilled the first, then you've not fulfilled the latest. But the first bylaw is that hunters must always be on the hunt for something. And honestly, Pariston may have already broken this one because he's one of the rare hunters whose specialty has never been revealed, which is quite questionable because the fields of every other Zodiac member has been revealed. Now, the association does give some leeway with this bylaw, but only in the case of rookie hunters, which is the category that Gon, Killua, and Leorio fall into. All hunters are given a couple of years to decide what field they want to specialize in, unless they're particularly driven, like say Kurapika, who chose his field before he even got his license and knew there was a field to choose. This isn't to say that Pariston isn't driven. This whole time he's been working towards getting beyond Netero to the Dark Continent. However, more so than anything else, Pariston acts to cure his own boredom. So his specialty might even be something as simple as being a personal entertainment hunter. Although I shudder to think what remarkable achievement in that field awarded Pariston his first star. And if I had to guess, I'd say that Yoshihiro Togashi, a man who loves organizations, labels, and general admin, decided not to reveal Pariston's specialty because it gives us too much information about the character. And the whole point of Pariston's existence to us is that he's an enigma. The second bylaw states that hunters must have a minimal understanding variety of martial arts, and this includes learning Nen. But other than the basic application of Ren, we've never seen Pariston engage in any sort of combat, let alone Nen combat. Again though, I think this is a strategic maneuver on Togashi's part to keep as much of Pariston in the shadows as possible and keep that enigma alive. And in the end, I'm not going to question this area too much because it was a requirement of all Zodiacs to have the ability to spar with Netero whenever he requested. Although it's definitely not out of the question that Netero would choose Pariston as a complete troll, ignoring that criteria altogether, but it's more likely that Pariston can back up this bylaw better than the vast majority of hunters within the association. Thirdly, once a hunter is licensed, that license cannot be revoked for any reason. However, a license will not be issued for any reason. This is by far the easiest bylaw to complete. You don't even need to do anything. Even if you lose your license, that's directly covered. You're still adhering to it. Fourth, hunters shall not target other hunters unless they commit heinous crimes. So this is the one bylaw that we know pretty much for a fact that Pariston has broken. The very first time we meet Pariston, his fellow Zodiac Mizystom states a number out of nowhere. That number was 18, and Mizystom goes on to state that that's the number of hunters who have gone missing in action in the 3 years since Pariston became vice chairman. Prior to his ascent to power, the annual total of MIA hunters was 0.6. So we've gone from approximately 1 every 2 years to 6 a year. And whilst Mizystom doesn't go so far as to officially accuse Pariston of being responsible, Mizystom is a double-star crime hunter and I very much trust his deductions. Pariston is almost certainly responsible for the unalivement of not just one hunter, but up to 18 hunters and has very broken the fourth bylaw. That's the conservative estimate, by the way, because Pariston can also be accused of attempting schemes to remove people from existence. In fact, almost 100 chapters before he's introduced, Pariston is first mentioned by Moral and Nov, who accuse him of sabotaging the extermination mission by blocking approval to send a hunter named Leek, who was significantly better equipped to handle this particular situation, which was hypothesized to directly engineer the creation of more Chimera Ant victims, as well as hinder the extermination efforts to make Netero look bad and compromise the lives of the entire team. Look, basically Pariston is a bad dude. But assuming that he fudged his way through the basic requirements of hunterdom, we now need to ask how Pariston got his first star, let alone the second and third. Because to be graced with a funky star, he would have needed to produce a significant achievement in a particular field to advance humanity. And I'm going to put this out there, I don't think that Pariston did shit. What I suspect happened with Pariston is that he commandeered someone else's achievement and then took credit for it. You know, putting all of the pieces together, it might even have been an achievement of one of those many hunters who disappeared. Perhaps someone who was onto something big that Pariston caught wind of and decided to claim for his own. Essentially, I just don't think that Pariston is capable of contributing to humanity. He can only cause chaos. Now, in order to achieve his second star, Pariston would have needed to mentor a hunter who received a star of their own. And I think there's only one possible candidate for this. I mentioned her earlier, but it has to be Cutie Beauty. There aren't any other single or double star hunters that we know of who would affiliate themselves with Pariston. In fact, the vast majority have actively taken stands against him, as well as publicly announced their political distance from his ideals. Whereas when Cutie Beauty got knocked out of the election, she urged all of her Sims to funnel votes straight to Pariston. And you know, with that in mind, I would also come to question how Cutie Beauty rose to her single star status, and whether or not Pariston may have had a hand in that as well, given that her success would directly benefit him. But what's very telling about Pariston is that the only two people he's ever shown even the facade of respect for are his fellow triple star hunters Babay and Cheeto. Because in the private Zodiac meeting, discussing what to do after Netero's death, Pariston admitted that in terms of seniority, Babay should become the next chairman, but in terms of actual leadership ability, it should be Cheeto. It really makes you wonder how Pariston would have treated Jing if he'd ever bothered to submit the paperwork for his triple star license. But deserved or not, these are the only 3 people to have ever achieved a triple star license.